So whatever I can do to win, I'm gonna do it, and I want everybody to feel good being here. Like I want everybody to have a great experience when they're in Connecticut. So I try to be a great teammate and great person.
Emily? For either of you guys, you had 93 points on Sunday compared to today. I mean, what did you feel like was the biggest difference offensively?
They made some adjustments, and I think, the ball stuck a little bit on our side, and I think we just got to do better at moving the ball and executing and getting the ball where we want it and getting the shots that we want.
Maggie?
For you, Bree, I know Olivia wasn't as effective today, but she's really had a lot of production off the bench these past few weeks. And I noticed today you were kind of pulling her aside and giving her some tips in between subbing. Where have you seen her the most growth just this season?
I think the most growth I've seen from her is just defensively. She's been great behind the ball and being a shot blocker, and then offensively, she's really stepped up and knocked down some tough shots and made some tough finishes, these last few games. So just seeing her growth from last year to this year has been great, and just being able to stay in her ear and keep talking to her and be out there with her this year has been great for me.
Any other questions on Zoom?
Sure, I'm gonna take off.
All right, thanks, ladies.
Thanks.
I have head coach Stephanie White going to do a quick statement and then taking questions in the room and then on Zoom. Go ahead, Steph.
Yeah, it's a tough one. We certainly knew that they were going to come back with more energy. We knew that they were going to be more aggressive on both ends of the floor. The team we saw on Sunday was a little bit uncharacteristic of who they are. And so we certainly knew that they were going to come out and be ready to play. And, I felt like we answered it in spurts, but not consistently enough. We had opportunities and shot ourselves in the foot, whether it was turnovers, especially through that course of the second quarter where we turned it over, I think 6 possessions, not knocking down open shots, staying on one side of the floor, holding the ball. It just continues to be some of our growth edges on the offensive end. You hold a good team to 71 points, you give yourself a chance to win, and our offense wasn't there tonight.
Taking questions in the room.
Coach, really good back-to-back games from Bree Sunday and today. It's not exactly like she's going up against just anyone. It's Ezzie McGregor is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. What exactly about that matchup do you think allowed her to be successful?
I thought first and foremost, she looked like she had a little bit more bounce. She looked like she was moving really well. She did a great job of getting position and finishing around the rim. Her and AT play so well together, and finding the matchups where AT can feed her, whether it's from the high post or whether it's the 4-5 on ball screen, I thought was really good. I just thought she looked like she was moving better. Thought she looked like a little less fatigued, had a little bit more bounce.
Maggie?
Yeah, you've preached all summer to have a hot start to punch first, and you guys did that today. You mentioned also consistency and trying to keep that for all 40 minutes. Not it came in spurts today. What is that? What does it take to have that 40 minutes?
A mindset. It's a mindset. Like, look, it's a game of runs, and every team that's left on our schedule, every team in this league is a tough team. And so we have to be able to answer their runs. We got to be able to minimize their runs. We got to be able to maximize ours. We got to be able to stay together and find ways to persevere and be resilient when things aren't going our way. That tends to be mostly on the offensive end of the floor. We got to find other ways to score. We got to get a little bit more. We got to be a little bit more patient. I feel like sometimes when it's not going our way, we get a little tunnel visioned. We stay on one side of the floor. We hold the ball too long. We're looking at one read, for 3 or 4 seconds instead of getting on to the next. I mean, every team we play is a good, solid defensive team. And every team we play from here until the end of the season is fighting for something, getting into the playoffs, fighting for playoff seeding, all of that. So every game matters, every possession matters. And I felt like we had too many missed opportunities, and they were all in a row. So it was, 5 or 6 possessions in the second. It was 4 or 5 possessions in the third, 3 or 4 possessions in the fourth, where we just weren't able to capitalize, and we handed them the ball.
Emily? Going from 93 points on Sunday to under 70 today, what did you feel like it was more an adjustment with their defense or more an issue with the flow of the offense today for you guys?
I think a little bit of both. They're a good defensive team. We certainly expected them to make some adjustments, but they did a really good job of flooding weak side, of packing it in on Breezy, not allowing easy entries. They got a little bit more physical with us, and that stopped our movement at times. So I think they certainly made an adjustment in terms of how they were playing, and I felt like because they did that, or when they did that, we weren't making the right reads. We got just too tunnel vision on one thing, and we didn't make the reads. I think we only had 2 skip passes all night, and that's something we talked about. And each time we made a skip pass, we got an open shot. We weren't very good at setting and using screens tonight. I felt like they forced us to rush, and we just kind of passed through each other. That's all discipline to details. It's all understanding what teams are going to try to do to us. And I think the more teams that we play, the more there's going to be physicality, and we've got to find a way to execute when we're under duress, so to speak.
Dom?
Yeah, Stephanie, last year at this time that there was so much focus on the so-called super teams, New York and Vegas. But this year, as you've alluded, are you surprised by the parity, by the number of teams that right now look like they maybe have as good a chance as anybody else to win this league?
I'll tell you what, it looks more and more like the NBA every year, where it's like, if you just get into the playoffs, you got a chance to win the championship. And, like Seattle is scary. You look at their roster and I mean, holy cow, it's like Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer, right? Phoenix is scary. Indiana's scary. Chicago's, everybody's scary. And I do think that, so much of making championship runs is about peaking at the right time. So much of it is about a little bit of luck. So much of it is about matchups and seeding. But I truly believe that this year, any team that makes the playoffs has a chance to make a run to the finals and win a championship. It is as deep as I've ever seen this league, and as balanced as I've ever seen it.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.